So I thought what I would do over the next 20 minutes, half an hour or so, is just take you through some of the 438 pages. There are executive summaries in the ESMA consultation, but perhaps just initially a bit of a reminder around some of the process here. So it's clear how some of this work sort of progresses. Just a couple of words of further sort of introduction from me, and I am conscious there will be some phone pies out there somewhere. I was, as has been remarked, heavily engaged in the Level 1 debate. I also indeed chaired one of the ESMA task forces and have been travelling around Europe over the last 6 months or so at the rest of the task forces. And I think ESMA has done a good piece of work. It is its first real work as ESMA rather than CSER. There will be things that you agree with, you disagree with, but as we'll come on and talk about, I think the message that I'd like you to think about as we're going through some of these slides is really this issue of constructive engagement. Because as one of the people that will have to read the 1,000 or so responses that we get to the ESMA consultation, frankly, we're looking for solutions rather than just problems. So before we turn to that, let's just sort of run through very briefly some initial slides. I think a lot of this has already been said in the previous discussion. So we've had the Level 1 published. I think generally some good outcomes. We've got a lot of work to do, and I appreciate that means uncertainty actually for you as practitioners and indeed us as regulators. So we're at the start of the process. In terms of where we got to, you've heard also a lot of these points. I pick up on a couple of them. I think the private placement issue is clearly key between now and 2013. Passive marketing being permitted, and I can assure you that really wasn't always the case at all. I think that's very key. And hopefully, as you'll see, and we'll come and talk about some of the additional rules, some proportionality there to reflect just the size of the sector, I think, and the diversity of the sector that we're talking about. It is the summer. You wouldn't believe that looking out the windows. And of course, as with all good tourist attractions and theme parks, you have to have a map, and often it has a little yellow dot telling you where you are, and indeed I've done the same for you. This also doubles up, of course, as a map for Brussels, because they are actually the pictures of the Commission, Parliament and Council. So if you ever find yourself stranded in Brussels, you can use this. We are really just a third of the way through, really. We're at the stage where ESMA has been asked for advice by the Commission. It is, I would underscore, just advice that will be provided. The Commission actually has to justify through sort of cost-benefit analysis, etc., where it doesn't use ESMA's advice. But going forward, the Commission will finalise the sort of more detailed rules. Quite interesting, on the right-hand side of the slide, we've got these sort of things called delegated acts, which are where the Commission's been given power under the Level 1 directive to make rules. And this is actually a measure, a legislative instrument, if you like, that's come in post the Lisbon Treaty. And really interestingly, when we use the word sort of oversee, actually what we sort of mean is veto. Because the Commission, the Parliament and the Council have 3 months effectively to veto what the Commission has produced if they don't feel that the Commission has exercised its delegated power appropriately. And it can actually be extended by a further 3 months. So although we're all working to the sort of timetable that James and Brendan articulated earlier, there are some risks here. You know, the Level 1 took 18 months to negotiate, so we don't know yet how that's going to play out. I'm not aware of the sort of vetoes being used actually yet. This is quite a new sort of process, and also we don't know who in the Parliament will be the rapporteur, the sort of negotiator, if you like, for this yet. So that creates some uncertainty as well. So anyway, moving on from the theme park and tourist attraction map to what we're talking about today. So these are sort of implementing measures, as they're called in European speak, that you see in the ESMA consultation. It is a request, as I've said. There are some other parts of the framework, though, and I think just to manage your expectations around this, yes, there's 438 pages, but it's not everything that you'll see. There are some very important things called technical standards, which are sort of additional regulations that, that ESMA makes that will specify further detailed rules. So we really are just, as John said, you know, this is really a marathon. We're really just quite early in the process here. You wouldn't believe it given the amount of material we've seen, but we are certainly very early in early stages. From your perspective, guidelines actually, and one set of guidelines in particular, will be very important. And they are the guidelines that ESMA needs to develop on what are called conditions of application for the supervisory cooperation arrangements. And these, as you've heard, are the prerequisites that must be in place to enable non-European based fund managers to continue to access European investors. And that's, again, part of a sort of longer burn process, if you like, and I think ESMA's got some fairly sizable ambitions, as Stephen Mijur has set out in that regard, to sort of specify what this will look like. Again, you'll see the last bullet point repeated several times for good reason on the slides, and that is your constructive engagement. Really, I cannot underscore how important that is to influencing the debate, but it will only work if you provide solutions to the problems you identify. So, what I'm going to do just for the next, I don't know, maybe five minutes or so, is just take you through some of the sort of key parts of the 438 pages. I've sort of put these into broad sort of groupings. We'll take these sort of in turn. So the first one is depositaries. Now, this first point to make here, this is only relevant initially to European funds, European fund managers. So if you're going to be privately placing into Europe up until 2015, this slide is not relevant to you. But it's important because of the passport and because there is effectively a cliff edge here between 2013 and 2015 if you want to get this marketing passport, the access to Europe. There is nothing until 2015. If the passport comes in, then everything applies. And this is a very significant section of the ESMA consultation. This took 6 months of negotiations just on this one subject. I would say it's taken ESMA maybe 30 to 40 hours of negotiations at least over the last 6 months to develop this. And there's some really, really key issues here, particularly in the sort of hedge fund space, under what custody obligations look like. So you'll all be familiar with custodians, of course, in the current world. Those of you who manage regulated funds in Europe will have knowledge of them, will be familiar with the depository provisions. But the reason why this is, of course, important is because of the liability that a depository is under post sort of Madoff and post Lehman if financial instruments, assets effectively are lost. And there's a lot of very complex sort of legal drafting on this, which I won't bore you with, to sort of answer that question. But the other question is, what then isn't held in custody? Well, how does a prime broker relationship work? How's collateral treated? Very, very difficult issues. There are several options in this area because simply it's just too difficult to sort of reach agreement in the time that ESMA had, and it needs more information. So those of you who are managing in the hedge fund space, although this doesn't apply to you now, it will in the future, and I would really strongly encourage you to sort of read this part of the consultation. There are a couple of other obligations, I mean, around the sort of role of oversight. That is from the UCITS sort of regulated space, and some really more detailed rules. That's the sort of message from this, and cash monitoring. Private equity is very interesting in this sort of space. How that works, I mean, you know, the assets are a world away, of course, from the sort of hedge fund space, and the same with real estate. So there's some really, really key issues there around the depository's role and frankly, the amount that you're going to be charged for those services if you're a fund or a fund manager.